Start this. Okay. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking to Ann Lorimor, and Ann is one of my very special friends. I met Ann last summer, and she was someone that I was so honored to meet by all of her accomplishments. And Ann fits in so well with Break Free and Thrive because she's been breaking free her entire life, and she's been thriving in all of these activities her entire life. So I would like to welcome Ann Lorimor to Break Free and Thrive today, and thank you so much for joining us.
I'm happy to be here, Karen.
Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today are all of the exciting things that you've done both in your past and then this monumental event that you're planning for next year. So what I would like to give our listeners a preview of is some of your accomplishments. And as a woman who started her career, early on was an RN, and then you've completed multiple degrees, 2 BAs, 2 master's degrees, a PhD in communications. You've traveled 100 countries. You've taught at university, English in Spain. You've lived abroad in Egypt and Nigeria. And this list keeps going on and on and on. And your current, and I guess one of the things that I did want to mention is, and throughout all of these activities, the one thing that has kind of kept you going is you're a mountain climber. How do you find time for that?
Well, I'm not a professional, but I've always loved it, and I just work it into my activities. I live between 2 mountains in Arizona, so it's nice, and I can go out and hike without problem now.
I think that's wonderful. And you've climbed, including those 2 peaks that are close to your home. And I don't know if that's part of the reason that you're very close to the mountains, but you've climbed Pikes Peak and other mountains in Mexico and in Australia. And I guess I want to ask the question, have you just been attracted to those mountains?
There's something about mountains that do speak to me. When I see them, I want to climb them. And someone asks, why do you climb mountains? Well, because they're there. I love climbing them.
Okay. And your current endeavor, your foundation, creatingexcitingfutures.org, is one of those foundations that really benefits a number of little people. So could you share a little bit about your foundation?
I am very much wanting to help underserved kids. I want them to have sort of a level playing field, show them their options, give them the tools to live lives they love, do what they want to do, and then give back. And that's what Creating Exciting Futures is all about. I particularly focus on homeless, foster, and orphan children, but any low-income children that have a desire to do better, I want to help them. When I was just a little girl, I had a 2nd grade teacher who sort of took me under her wing. And when I was ready to go to high school, she paid my tuition at a boarding school in California. And I've always felt I need to pay it forward.
Okay. And that's so admirable because many times people kind of forget where they came from and they kind of close the door. And you have been someone that kept opening doors and climbing mountains, and you kind of see the bigger picture. And at 85 years young, you were a world record holder. Could you please tell us a little bit about that particular climb and why you decided that was time to do that?
Well, I wanted to climb Kilimanjaro for a long time, and somebody came along to CEO Space and said he was taking a group. So I thought, well, I'll go do it. I said, he's older himself. He's the oldest person to have climbed the 7 summits, so he'll know what the problems are for an older person. So I went, and I no more than put out my brochure, then he put it off the air. So I said, here's my chance. I can do this. I can set a record and get promotion for my cause of helping kids. And so that's what we did. My motto is a hand up, not a handout. So I worked at it that way, and I just kept doing my own training last time. I did just hiked every day and things like that. And we got over there and we did it. And one of my friends, her husband had climbed it, and she said, "Well, my advice to you is to stay home." I said, "No, I'm doing this." And so I've been able to help a number of kids, taking them to Teen Feast at CEO Space, and they've come back just amazing. You know, you can just see the differences in them. One kid graduated high school. So nothing? No, but the first person in his whole family ever to graduate high school.
Oh my goodness.
And another girl had quite a voice, and she got to perform in the graduation service there. And then she came back and she starts doing the lead in her high school concerts, and she began to get gigs all over town. I could just see her blossom. I've seen this with so many of the kids.
Mm. Well, I think when people talk with you, they also see you blossom in so many different aspects, because it seems like every area of your life, you've really made your personal mission to help others when you were in high school, and also as you were an RN, and then also moving on in your teaching. And it just seems like you've been giving back all your life. Um,
It's been
and
important to me.
yeah,
Yes, it has been important to me. And I said in my family, giving to people was sort of a three-generation thing. My grandfather was quite a philanthropist, took in 5 orphans when an orphanage folded, and he brought them up. And then my parents had a children's home and school. And as just a little tiny girl, I used to help bathe and change and feed the babies. And I love doing it.
Oh, it sounds so exciting, and we want to learn more about this. So one of the things I want to ask is, setting a record is one thing. Setting a world record is another thing. And doing climbing mountains is one thing, but continuing to break these world records is something that's really incredible. It's extraordinary. So as a result of going on this climb when you were 85, and I'm going to say, to be honest, I didn't even know where Mount Kilimanjaro was. So you're on all of the continents. You want to climb a lot of mountains. But I want to ask, when you were saying you wanted to climb Kilimanjaro, did you know what you were undertaking?
I knew that it was almost a mile higher than the highest mountain in Colorado, 19,341 feet. I also knew we were going to dry season, so I had a little bit of chance of not getting rained on every day, and I liked that. But no, sometimes when I was doing it, I said to myself, well, you know, failure is not an option. You're going to put one foot in front of the other. But there were times I said to myself, well, I wonder why anybody does this. But it was important because the kids do deserve that opportunity. And it's there for them. A lot of these kids are really bright, but they don't have any idea what their options are.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to tell them.
And I think you're a testament to that by saying, you know, there are so many opportunities, and you've just kept looking at what's the next opportunity. And I think that's why you're so inspiring to the kids. So how long was the climb, and was that, you know, like weeks, months? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Love to. It varies according to the route you take. And the one we took us 8 days up and down. There were other people that did it in 6, but that's sort of pushing it. And there are some hikes that go 10 or 11. I think this time we're going to do a 9-day hike up and down.
Okay.
We just did a really gradual hikes most of the days, but on the end, we went up 4,000 feet overnight. We were seemed like almost 24 hours without sleep, and that part was really hard, and it got very cold. It got 8 below zero that night. And I had layers, but I didn't have the right layers, and I got horribly cold. And so the guide and porter and my nephew had to sort of hold me in a human sandwich to warm me up. And then a gal gave me some ski pants out of her bag she wasn't using and put a few other things on me, and I made it on up to the top.
Okay. So when you're going with this group, obviously there are people that are kind of, I'm going to say, carrying some of the heavier things that need to be transported, whether it's tents and things like that, correct?
Oh, yes. We had porters. They would call them Sherpas over in the Himalayas, and they carried the tents and the food for us and the kitchen equipment in that tent and most of our stuff except the personal things that you carried on your own back. You had to have water, and we had to have, he told us, 5,000 calories a day. So we all carried snacks as well as having our 3 meals. So we had that on our backs and water and just salves and wipes and, any of the personal things you need we had. And we had ponchos in case it did rain and some extra gear to put on in case we got cold. But all my layers didn't help me because they weren't right. So I'll be better equipped this next time.
Okay. And from the standpoint, when you started, what was the temperature and what was the temperature when you got to the top? Because there was
I don't remember the temperatures climbing, Karen. They were pretty moderate. They were not bad. I had a jacket, but it wasn't a heavy jacket, and we were fine. We had sun all the time, actually, and it wasn't bad. But that last night, at nights when it got down to 8 below, and it was cold.
Okay. And as a result of the group that you're traveling with, I don't know if there's, snow or sand or rock or whatever, but how many hours are you traveling each day? Because you have to build up, an endurance for all of that.
There are all kinds of conditions. There was some trail, but then there was a lot of loose rock and scree and stuff like that. Some places, and a lot of places they did have a sort of a switchback trail, so it wasn't straight up, and that did help. Our guide was pretty smart. I mean, the guy that led the expedition, he brought us to our camping place, and we'd all settle down, and then he'd take us up maybe 800, 500, 1,000 feet higher just for a couple of hours to get acclimated. We'd come back down. The next day, we'd go up beyond the place that we'd climbed to our next camping place, and we'd do the same thing. So he did acclimate us gradually. None of us had to have oxygen. One guy did have to go down. That's somebody's photographer. He couldn't make it. But the rest of us just did it.
Okay. And that was one of the things I was thinking about, because as you're going this elevation, there's got to be a point where it takes time to kind of acclimate to all of that.
You have to do that. I had planned to go away for a week in Colorado just before we left, but it ended up they got me a lot of interviews and I couldn't do it. So I had, during the time, gone up to Flagstaff and climbed a little on Humphreys and stayed at that higher elevation. That helped. And I do think, they say it's not true, but I think the fact that when I was a child, I lived at 7,000 feet for several years, I think I still have some benefit of that. They say not. They said all goes away in a few weeks, but I don't believe it. I believe it did benefit me.
I think it's all in your heart, because your heart has learned to acclimate in all of those conditions. So I think that stays with you. I think that world record also stayed with you too, because that's what's kind of prompted you to continue to strive to take on the next mountain. So can you share? Go ahead.
Actually, I lost my world record in about 4 months. Somebody else, another woman from Russia who made a vow to her sister, climbed it. Now, she looked as if she was really, really struggling, but nonetheless, she did. So I said, I'm going to do it. Well, I was going to do it last year, but then a man came along who was just older than I would have been this year. And so I said, well, I'm going to do it next year and be the oldest person. I won't put it off again. There's no use tempting fate. But I hope that I will be the oldest person at this time. Well,
but I think won't you be the person that's gone the second time as well?
Oh, the guy that led me, it was his 4th time, I think, when he took us, and now he's gone about 6 or 7. So there are people that have gone 23 times up the mountain, people that are the guides there and stuff.
Yeah, but they don't count.
Well, they count, but they're not as old.
Oh.
I'm not setting any, what should we say, frequency records or any fastest speed records. What I'm setting is hopefully the oldest person record.
Okay. And you actually, because you have the experience of having gone once before, I think that's an advantage this time, is it not?
I think so. I know that I do need to be better prepared. I am going to go spend some time at a higher altitude before I go. So there are things I will do. And I have a personal trainer this time. Last time I did it all myself. So I'm still continuing to do my fitness training with my dog, but I also see the personal trainer a couple times a week. And he's trying to build up my core strength. So it's not going to be as hard this time.
Okay. And you've mentioned that your dog is going with you. Did he go with
No,
you?
no, my dog hikes with me now. He will not go with me over there. There's too
Oh,
problem with getting dogs across borders and things.
okay.
Besides, my dog is getting older, and he's staying with me, but I don't know how much longer he can.
Okay. So at least you've had a companion while you've been going on these local climbs.
Absolutely. He's a wonderful little hiking companion. We have a picture of him in a hiking hat looking up at us.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. So how large will the team be that you're going with?
My team last time it was 15 people climbing. I'm hoping for 20 to 25, but I'm not sure. People say they're going to go and then they don't, So, but anyway, we won't go larger than 25.
Okay.
Then the climbers, they'll be the support team, and the guides and the porters and all that sort of thing.
Okay. And as a result of your training, this is not just, you can't cram for it. So you've been building this for the past, since you did this in 2015. So you've continually been progressing in your endurance for this trek, correct?
At least I've been keeping it steady. At my age, you don't want to let your fitness go. It'd be hard to get it back. So I do hike every day. And, it sort of keeps me in good shape. And people look at me sometimes and say, oh, who's that teenager? They're walking over their dog.
I have to say, I think you have more energy than a lot of teenagers, and a lot of goals that have actually been broken that teenagers have no idea. Absolutely. So one of the other things that I wanted to chat about was, as a result of going to creatingexcitingfutures.org, you actually talk about some of the events that you have had, but also people can go there and they can support you on this event. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about the fund that you set up and what the proceeds, how they're being distributed to? I know this is also helping for the World Climb, but the benefit of the children. Can you share a little bit about that?
I'd love to do that. As I said, it's called Creating Exciting Futures. My foundation is Lorimor Child Empowerment Foundation. And what I'm doing is building a fund that will help kids in every way I can, to give them that hand up, to let them lead lives they love and give back. And we have 3 major programs going. I take them to Teen Feast, where they learn about, they get mentors and they learn about networking and they learn things that a lot of kids don't know. And they keep lifetime contacts with those people, and they come back also with enhanced self-esteem and a lot of ideas for doing their own thing. One kid came, he always wanted a restaurant, and he came back with some solid ideas about how to build that restaurant, and I was so pleased for him. Another program we have is Youth Toastmasters. No matter what a kid wants to do, they're being able to speak well and express himself and not be afraid in front of an audience is a good thing. And I've just saw such differences. And we've done one program so far, and we're starting another one in January. This is an 8-week program, and even in those 8 weeks, the kids take over the whole thing. They run it. They do a great job, and they come out just being proud of themselves, and we're proud of them too, and much more at ease in their situation. The other thing is I'm working with a major bank to have low balance, no fee bank accounts so they can learn to save. Because I tell them, when I take them to CEO Space to their Teen Feast, they need to have $200 for their personal expenses and to buy the directory and things like that. I cover everything else, but that's a way to save it and have it there. And I just really can see great hopes. And we teach them financial literacy in this program. I have other speakers that are going to do anti-bullying. I have some that just talk about things, making their lives better for themselves, as well as doing careers that are important. There are many more things I want to do. I'd like to do college scholarships someday for the disadvantaged kids. I get wonderful recommendations from things like Family Promise and Millet House, which is a showcase for artists who don't have the money to show their own art. And lending library for the community. These people all work with me, and we send each other people. And there's so much that can be done. I'd love to support music education a great deal more when I get the money. So when I get the money that I want for this, I'm going to do a great many things to help kids.
Well, you are so inspiring because each step that you take is a door that you open for all of these kids. And I'm not sure they realize what they are going to be receiving. And it's just a matter of really enjoying the connection that you have with them and knowing that the opportunities that you're providing will help them their lifetime.
And they may know it later, Karen. I had a little mentee for 15 years from the time she was 6 till she was 21. And I'm just so pleased with what she's done in life. We still stay in touch. And I just, so I can hope this for the other younger people that I have now, that the new ones that are coming on, that they'll get the same kind of benefits.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Anne, for sharing your next adventure with us. I think for someone that's been on this earth as long as you have, but has been so inspiring each one of those years, I think we want to follow up with you in the new year, and we want to continue to follow you and also to support you in this event. So I'm going to add the website at the bottom so that people can support you. And I thank you so much for sharing what living a break-free and thriving life looks like, because it sounds like it's filled with adventure, curiosity, and again, as you had mentioned, it was a hand up, not a hand out. And I think that is just an awesome mantra to say.
Thank you. Anybody can give on that site. They can also follow the climb and know exactly what's happening with that. It tells all the details there. So I'd be happy. Anyone that wants to contribute to the kids, they'll bless you for it.
Thank you so much, Anne. This has just been an awesome opportunity to learn more about your foundation. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to be with you. Bye.
Bye.